Hi, welcome back to Crime, Mystery, and Mayhem. Today's story is going to be about Albert Anastasia. Albert Anastasia was born September 26th, 1902. Albert had 12 siblings. Three of those siblings died when they were like little bitty babies. At the age of 10, Albert lost his father. Now, it was said that because his mother struggled to take care of all those children, Albert dropped out of school when he was only in the fifth grade to help his mother provide for his siblings. So Albert immediately started working like on a steamboat. On a steamboat, he was surrounded by like multiple adults. Like these were like big strapping grown men who had the strength to be able to just throw those sacks over their shoulders like it was nothing. But Albert couldn't do this, so he had to, physically build his strength. Like he forced himself to pull those ropes and he forced himself to lift up that cargo. And before you knew it, by the time he was 15 years old, he was like bigger than any average 15-year-old boy would come out to be. He would just work the docks and, work the boats and stuff and coming in and out of Italy, just doing his job, doing whatever he could to take care of his family. So one day he decided, you know what? I'm too big for this. There's got to be something more in life than this. He overheard another crew member talking about New York. So the crew members are like, well, I heard New York streets are paved in gold. It's really easy to get a job there. And, all the people are very nice and friendly. So Albert thinks, why not? So one day, the boat that he works on goes by New York and he jumps off and lands in New York illegally. As soon as Albert sticks his feet off into New York, he recognizes that the streets are not paved in gold. Everyone was looking for a job. Everyone was just scattered around like chickens with their heads cut off. When Albert made it to New York City, he didn't have a dime to his name, not a coat on his back or shoes on his feet, just his strength. So he immediately started looking for employment. The only thing the only place he could go was to like the loading docks, for an unload shipment because like I said, he had a fifth grade education and sources says that he was just illiterate. He didn't know how to read or write. So he worked on the shipping docks and there were these guys there. They were like dock mobsters. They would steal and they would like watch other crew people steal and they wouldn't say anything. And because they were like top mob bosses, they would take like little amounts here and there from the other crew, just to keep them stealing. Like, we won't say nothing about y'all stealing. Y'all just can't say nothing to us about us stealing from y'all. So, like, that's so unfair. So, after that, Albert is like, you know what? I'm tired of this little bitty penny pinching. I want some real money. I'm going to get me a crew together and we're going to take all the best cargo. We're going to save a little bit of cargo for the other crew, but we're going to take all the best. First come, first serve. That's going to be us. So as time go by, then Anastasia was 15, so 3 years go by, and now he's 18 years old. And now he hears about this guy, Joe Torino. Joe Torino's on the other side of the deck, minding his own business. He got his own crew together. He's not even thinking about Albert and his crew, but Albert is like, wait a minute. These docks has been coming up short lately. A lot of the good stuff has been picked over. Now lately, all me and my crew have left over is like the bitter pieces and scraps left of the cargo. I better go and find out who the main source of this thief is. So he finds Joe Torino and he's like, Joe, I hear you've been taking the better pieces of the cargo. And Joe's like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? And Albert's like, oh yeah, what I'm going to do about it? So Albert reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a long knife and repeatedly stabs Joe Torino in his chest and his neck and his back and his face, everywhere. Blood was just scattered and just smeared all over the decks. Everyone was just standing back like, wow, like they could not believe that Albert just did this in front of them. It was like he didn't care that anyone else was around. Sources said that while he was in the act of killing this man, he had a smile on his face. Like it was absolutely nothing. Blank stare and a smile. But someone mustered up the courage to come forward and tell. And he did. And unfortunately, Albert ended up going to prison and he ended up facing the electric chair. Their electric chair was called Old Sparky. That's crude. There, Albert Anastasia, he would have to fight for his respect. Every single day, someone would step up to him and be like, hey, I heard you got those hands. And Albert was like, hey, you want to find out? And they found out, and then things didn't end up going out the other person's way. So there was this barber in there named Barber the Shiv, and he really liked Anastasia. He's like, wow, this young cat really knows how to get it how he lives. He don't care who it is. Blood, sweat, and tears. He's coming for blood. So he's like, I got this friend out here working New York streets who can really use a young cat like Albert. So he puts the good word out, for Albert out there to Lucky. And he's like, I got this young cat up in here. I really think that you can put him to work. He'll be good use to you. So Lucky gets on, to some type of meeting with Albert's attorneys. And he's like, yeah, we need to get this case back open. So he's like, in order to get this case back open, we have to do something about those witnesses. Every last witness who appeared to court that day, who testified against Albert that he murdered Joe Torino, ended up missing or murdered. So after that, Albert gets sent home free, and he immediately starts working for Lucky. Albert and Lucky, they're just running New York City, they're kicking ass and taking names, and Albert is Lucky's right-hand man. Whoever Lucky wanted killed, he'll just tell him, Albert, get him. And Albert got him with happiness on his face. He didn't hold back. He didn't wait. He didn't take a breath. He didn't think about it. He just, okay. So after that, they got their gang together, and then they're starting to strategize of other game plans. Like, wait a minute, these old mobsters, they're lazy. They're fat, they're lazy, they're just sitting on their butt. All they want to do is, go after little pennies here and there. There's so much money out here that's owed to us that they're not going to go get. We need to put it into these old mobsters. And Albert is like, okay, just say when. I'm on it. So they instantly get together one of the first old crime mob bosses, and his name was Marcino. So he has Lucky meet him there at his favorite restaurant. They're sitting there, and he's got his plate full of spaghetti. Sources say that this old crime mob boss, like, he was a really heavy eater. Like, every time he would eat, he just eat like a pig. So this in particular day, he's just big, and he's got all this sauce on his plate and the biscuits and just eating away. And Lucky's like, okay, now we're done eating, how about a game of pinochle? Now they're sitting there, they're playing a game of pinochle, and Lucky's like, wait, let me go to the John. So Lucky gets up, goes to the bathroom, and then in through the front door walks Albert and two of his guys. They went to tearing that plate up, tearing his chest up. There was marinara sauce and spaghetti hanging from the ceiling, biscuits flying in the air, and the boss just fell on his back with the ace of spades laying in his hand. So they got rid of him. And after that, they had one more old crime boss they had to get. They got him with making it seem like the IRS wanted to talk to him about something. Nothing too serious, just to make sure that all his books added up. So he meets him, and then they take him in his private office. They sit him down, they stab him, they strangle him, and then they shoot him. Are really all those three things necessary? No, they're not. But that's what happened to them. They got rid of those bosses, and now they're on top. Lucky's the head kingpin. So now Lucky's, he's starting these new rules. Okay, now that we got rid of these old mob bosses, the new rules are no killing civilians. no killing anyone affiliated with the judicial system, and no killing mob bosses. All these three things, if they did it and they broke these rules, these things will send their gang, come crashing down, So they vowed to all stick to these rules, even though they just got done killing their bosses. So now they got these new rules in effect. They're making money off bootlegging, racketeering, prostitution, whatever it is that they can get their hand on. Then all of a sudden, this new sheriff in town named Dewey, he's like, you know what? There hasn't been a really good, break on violence in over 20 years. Now I'm the new vigilante of the criminals. I'm going to come here. I'm going to clean these streets up. I'm going to have all these gangsters running from the hills. By the time I'm done with them, I'm going to take them dead or alive. And the gangsters, they're just sitting back like, who he talking to? He ain't talking to us. He talking to you. He talking to me. So, Dewey's, he's, gathering up different cases against the mobsters. And one of the very first mobsters that he had on his radar was Lucky Luciano. By this time, Lucky Luciano, he was doing really good. He was in his prime. He'll make a hit every blue moon here and there if someone didn't want to pay up. But he was doing really good. They were taking over major cities and just doing things. But he also had Albert Anastasia doing like multiple hits. Sources say that multiple Anastasia will take out at least 1,000 hits a year. And not just in New York, all over the United States of the America. So there's a lot of unsolved murders that could have been, Albert Anastasia related. So you should think about that. Okay, moving forward. So now Dewey, he's getting these cases together. He's trying to get people to come together and say and be witnesses to Lucky's crimes, but no one would say anything. But one thing that the police knew for sure, if they couldn't find anything else on him, is that Lucky was really big on his prostitutes. He had really big prostitution rings. So they end up getting him for 30 years in prison on prostitution. So now after that, before then, the gangsters, they weren't afraid. But now that they see, wait a minute, if Lucky can be God, we can be God. So we all need to be careful. But Albert is just like, y'all better be careful. I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do. So now there's this guy who's underneath Albert. He already didn't like Albert from the jump. He was already jealous because, the commission, the commission is an organized group who dictates who gets killed or, who's in or who's out. And they were over Lucky. They were over all those mob bosses. They're like the government of the mob. So you would have to go through them in order to get a hit out put on someone. But Albert didn't need to do this. He didn't want to do it. He was just simply like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. Anyone that I want dead is going to be off with their head. Final decision. So, Albert, he's out here living his life, and he decides, well, you know what? My friend Lucky, he's in prison doing his bit. I want to level up. I want to settle down, get married, have some kids, live a separate life other than what I'm doing. And then plus, he didn't want to make it seem like to the IRS, like, oh, wow, they're going to be on his trail soon. Where's he getting all this money from? So he had to establish some businesses and establish a life from himself to cover up what he was really doing behind closed doors. So he married this 19-year-old young lady named Elsa. And at this time, Albert was 25. No, I'm sorry. Albert was 35. So, they got married, and Elsa, she didn't mind the age difference, and sources say that Albert lied to her and told her that he owned a dress business where he hired people to make dresses, and he also owned a mattress store where he sold mattresses. But I don't think Elsa was stupid. I think she knew what was going on. She just loved them and passed that. And plus, sources also say that he never brought his problems home. Whatever he did dirty and grimy out there in the street, he never let it see home. He played with their children, which, by the way, they had 4 children. He played with their children. He engaged in making love with his wife. He went to church. He never drank. He never smoked, never partied. No, none of that. Just a regular Christian life while he was at home. But when he was out there in the streets, he gave people that business, all or nothing. So he went and then he bought this mansion. This mansion contained 35 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and the whole entire yard was just fenced in barbed wire. He had Dobermans all around the property, just bodyguards, security guards, whoever, you name it. He was just like, it was like state of the art, mansion living. So that's kind of hard to hide from the IRS. And then if you have a mattress business and a dress business, I don't think you're pulling in that much money for 35 bedrooms. So, he's living his life, and, his head is in the clouds and not really paying attention to what the commission is saying or anything. So then one day on the news, he sees a guy who escaped from prison. And he's a fugitive. He's on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. And Albert is like, whoa, way to go. Good for you. If I ever caught up with that guy, I'm definitely giving him a job. That's my type of fella. So, days go by. A couple days later, turns on the news again. Arnold Schuster is riding the subway one day on his way home from work and spots the fugitive and turns him in. So Albert Anastasia turns up, and then immediately his blood starts boiling. He's like, what? A snitch? Oh, no. I have to take him out. And his friends is like, wait a minute, what about the commission? The commission? But I'm Albert. I'm Albert Anastasia. And I do what I want to do. They ain't my daddy. My daddy died when I was 10 years old. So, he makes plans to put this hit out on Arnold. And, sources say that, while Arnold, he's out and about living his life, he's held like, oh my goodness, Arnold, you did such a good deed. You caught the fugitive, you caught the bank robber. We feel safer now. And you got some people who are happy about this, but then you got other people who are like, oh man, don't sit with him. He's snitching. And you know what happened to snitches? Snitches get stitches. So everyone, they have, kind of mixed emotions and mixed feelings about this. One day, Arnold even stated on national television that, at first he felt good about saying something, but after he went home later that night, he was like, oh, wow, what did I do? So, one day he left home from work, and he's just, minding his own business, probably thinking about what he's going to cook for dinner later that night. And then up walks this guy out of the middle of nowhere and pulls out this gun and shot him once in each eye and twice in the groin. Now, once the news hit the fan, the commission is alerted, and then the commission instantly knows this has Albert Anastasia's name written all over it. And Albert is just coming to meetings like, So, the commission is like, all right. So the commission gets, in word with Albert's friends. And they're like, listen, I need for y'all to set y'all friend up. And they're like, our friend? This is our friend. This is, he's always been looking out for us for years. Whatever we want, he got it. He's part of the reason why we're on top. And the commission was like, no, we the reason why all y'all on top. It's either him or y'all. And they like, definitely him. So they instantly, go behind Anastasia's back and build forth this plan to try to get him up out of there. And they knew that every 2 weeks or every other week or so, Albert Anastasia would go to this same barber shop, and he will sit in number chair 4 every time he would go here. So every time he would go there, he would get a shave. He would get like the hot towel on his face, haircut, whatever it is, to, get his appeal up. So he sat there, and two of his friends are there. His friends, his bodyguards, whoever they were supposed to be to him. So, the barber, he boosts his chair up, gets him all prepped up, ready to go. And then he takes the hot towel off the steamer and then wraps it around Anastasia's face. And as soon as it gets dark and he's underneath there, 2 masked guys come in with black trench coats and rags over their face and hats draped up over their eyes. And they just start, shooting the chair up. Immediately start shooting the chair up. Anastasia In the gaze days, he just gets up. You know, he gets up and he automatically he sees his reflection and he sees the guys in the reflection, but he's thinking that these are the guys, not knowing that this is the mirror. So the guys are able to shoot him multiple times in the back, and then he falls to the ground and he dies. And that's just karma right there for him. Like, it's crazy. Sources say that there's a whole lot more people who were murdered back in that time that they think that Anastasia killed, but they have no proof. So, and they think that he had like thousands of victims throughout the year because he was so happy and so willingly to do this. But I thank you guys for tuning in today. That's my story today on crime, mystery, and mayhem. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy your day and have a blessed one. Like and subscribe. Thanks.